Hello.
Having a totally other conversation right when we hit play.
That's fair.
Hi, I'm Anna. This is Adam. Thanks for coming to our channel.
Yep.
We are going to talk about the 4 Batman films.
Yes. The 2 Burton and 2 Schmachers.
Yes.
Supposed to be in the same universe, more or
yes.
less, I guess. But, so yeah, I will be doing a separate video where I take on like fixes I would have made to connect them better and stuff. But Anna didn't want to be a part of that, so
Aww.
I'll do it myself. And eventually I'll get back to that whole Sony universe thing I was working on. I just haven't had a chance to get back to it.
This is about the Batman movies.
I have a Batman mask somewhere, but I couldn't find it for the pictures.
Yeah.
So,
oh
well.
Yeah, these are the films that a lot of Gen X, Xennials, and Millennials grew up on, or when we were kids, or at the very least, the Schumacher, because.
Yeah, I grew up on Burton, so.
Yeah, you're a little older than me. So, love you. We're gonna, because we watched all 4 of them, and we're gonna talk about our thoughts and how they stand up today, because they came out in a very different era.
Certainly.
Of comic book filmmaking.
True.
So, up first would be the 1989 Batman, starring Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson.
Yes, and this was the first time we had a live-action Batman since Adam West.
Yes.
And it was very different, obviously, from the campiness that was...
Totally different tone. Much more reflective of the darker tone that the comic books had started to take on in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
This is post-Killing Joke.
Yeah.
Post-Death in the Family. I mean, those are not things addressed in the film, but that is the background that people would have been, comic book fans would have been going into this film. We are officially in dark era Batman.
Yes.
And the film kind of reflects this.
Yes, it is very,
Well, also having more, as someone, this was my first time seeing it.
You never seen the Batman 89 before that? Seriously?
Huh? We talked about this. I had never seen it in all together, like in one sitting. Yeah, I had seen clips of it. I had not seen the whole thing.
I saw that in the theater when it came out.
I did not. I was too young.
That's fair.
But it also has a degree of campiness to it.
Oh, of course.
Which I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
But was fun.
Yeah.
All right. So, do you want to go first? Since you did see this film in theaters.
Okay. Well, you already started talking, so I didn't want to interrupt you. What? Sure. I saw this back in the outdoor theater with my parents. I was super excited about it. I bought the toys and everything. I think I even had the Bob. There was a Bob action figure too. You even got a action figure. Yeah.
Bob is Joker's lieutenant.
Number 1 henchman.
Yes.
You were number 1 guy.
The number 1 guy.
Yeah.
Before Harley Quinn did not exist yet.
That's right, yeah. So, yeah, no, I just remember, we all liked Jack Nicholson as the Joker. And, we had always seen Jack Nicholson in things, But, like, for me, it was like, this was the Joker. I'd seen 66, of course, but, like, this is like, it's Jack Nicholson and he's the Joker. This is cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then Michael Keaton, we had seen Beetlejuice, of course, but this was Michael Keaton out of Beetlejuice makeup, so, because we've done other movies besides that, of course, but, like, that was once, as a kid, I had seen was Beetlejuice, and then saw this, and I was like, hey, cool. No, it's interesting, like, the dark aesthetic is there, in terms of, like, all the darkness of Gotham and all that. It feels very New York.
It feels very 80s corrupt New York.
Very 80s corrupt New York. Yeah.
But like heightened.
Yeah.
Like comic booky style, because there's it's a mix of that with like sort of like this vintage 1940s and 50s aesthetic.
Yeah.
Like kind of a mixture of the two. Sorry, I didn't mean to jump in on you.
Film noir-esque.
Yes. Yeah. I would agree. Yeah.
Yeah, it's and I remember like apparently like I of course didn't know this because this was the internet wasn't a thing yet, but when Michael Keaton first got cast, everyone was up in arms like, oh, Mr. Mom, what the hell,
Because he was a comedian.
Yeah, like, and it's like, okay, well, imagine if it had been Bill Murray instead, guys. So, I mean, I like Bill Murray, but I couldn't see him as Batman. And there were a lot of different people who were potentially up for the Joker before Jack Nicholson. I think John Lithgow was a possibility. Willem Dafoe would have been good too.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then Jack Nicholson did it, and that was really cool. And for a long time, he was
the Joker.
He was the Joker, yeah. And yeah, he's very the campiness actually goes a lot with the Joker himself because of a lot of the Prince music and like
oh my gosh, yeah,
all the artistry and all that. But there's still a nice, delightful man on the edge. He's definitely off his rocker. Yeah,
this town needs an enema.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got a lot of great lines in there. Yeah, and so I clearly came prepared for this video. See, if I had done this when I'd watched it, I would remember more.
Yeah, so, that's okay.
But no, it's a fun adventure movie and has a few comedic bits. I always like the moment when he says, "You want to get nuts? Let's get it." Because then you totally hear Beetlejuice in his voice. Yeah.
So there's I found this online recently. Someone made a little cartoon where like they took the screen cap of him saying, "You want to get nuts? Let's get nuts."
Yeah.
And then they did a little cartoon of Batman and the Joker sitting next to each other eating bags of mixed nuts.
Yeah.
And Joker's going, this was a good idea, right? They're so good. They got nuts.
Yeah, they got nuts. It's fun. But no, it was, I had a good time. It's always good to rewatch classic movies and stuff from your childhood.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I think it was a good start to this Batman mythos and what would be seen many times after. Yes. I think Michael Keaton was good. He's got kind of more of the stone face Bruce Wayne, but you can tell there's a darkness there, and still dealing with the ramifications of his parents being dead, and Billy D. Williams is in there as Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent.
And it's funny too because
not Two-Face.
Yes, he's not Two-Face. Yeah, but it's interesting about Billy D. Williams being Two-Face or being Harvey Dent was that like. I don't remember, and obviously I was young, I was a kid, but like with all the hoopla being aimed at Michael Keaton and all that, I'm surprised, especially how things are nowadays, that more people wouldn't have been up in arms about Billy D. Williams being Harvey Dent,
Well,
and I don't care, I liked it fine.
No,
but
I feel like that was less of a fan reaction,
and
more of a under the hat studio reaction, because he does not come back. For the other films.
Which is a shame.
It is a shame, and I think that was more of a studio issue than anything else. Because we already had a precedent for race-swapped castings in the past.
Right, yeah.
From the 1960s Batman. It gave us a black Catwoman
and
a gay Latino Joker.
Right. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. And so, but yeah, like I said, it's just a fun. Jack Palance is in there for a little bit.
Oh my gosh. Who is also kind of in nuts.
Yeah.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, he's one of the best.
Like when at the beginning when he's Jack Napier, like he makes Jack Napier look tame and normal in comparison.
Oh yeah.
Jack! Yeah. I was like, oh my god. Like,
right. I'm glad you're dead.
And I'm glad you're dead. Oh my gosh. So this was my first time seeing it all the way through. And I really enjoyed it. Yeah. One of the things that I really liked about it was the fact that so much of like the first half of the film plays with the idea of like the mythos of the Batman within Gotham City, like the way the public reacts to him, like is this even a human? Like, no, like
Right.
he's that mysterious.
Yeah, is he a bloodsucker? What is this?
Yeah. I thought that was really, because it's not something you see a lot in modern day adaptations of the story.
Right.
So seeing that aspect of it was quite cool. I also quite liked Michael Keaton. He had that very like stoic, strong-jawed look to him when he's in the cowl.
Yeah.
And as Bruce Wayne, and it's kind of fun because it is kind of underwritten.
Yeah.
But there, again, because a lot of it is maintaining the mystery,
Right.
building up to big reveals of things that don't really feel like big reveals to an audience,
Right,
especially
right.
to a modern audience. But are in universe big reveals.
Right.
But like, yeah, there's things like where he's having dinner with Vicky Vale, the
Yeah.
photographer. And they're eating in that dining room with that absurdly long table.
Yeah.
And he has
the
that,
salt.
yeah, and he's like, yeah, what?
Yeah.
And then he has that moment, I don't think I've ever been in this room before. And it's a funny, sweet little moment because it's all like, for all, whatever, like, persona he puts on in public as Bruce Wayne, it's all like, oh, you are very socially awkward.
Right. Yeah. Right. Indeed.
Yeah. I also liked Kim Basinger as Basinger, excuse me. Kim Basinger as Vicky Vale. 'Cause, like, going into it, I'd heard a lot of like, that Vicky sucks, she screams too much, blah 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 blah. And well, the thing is, like, no, I think she screams an appropriate amount,
Right, yeah.
given some of the circumstances she gets thrust into.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like having the Joker like become obsessed with her.
Right.
The Joker's got a thing for blondes, apparently.
Yeah. Apparently. Yeah.
But
He's in good company.
oh, excuse me. But no, and also shit. Where was I going with this? Vicky Vale.
Vicky Vale.
Yeah. She plays it kind of cool for the most part, I felt.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, I didn't like that they made her a photographer instead of a journalist. Like, they have this original character journalist who is giving his line readings to, like, the balcony, the upper balcony, and he's the only one in the movie who's giving that type of performance where, gee, it's like the Batman was here, and it's like, what are you doing, sir?
I think
like,
he was a comedian.
Yeah, you told me, but it's just like, specifically as a character, there is no reason for him to be there.
Yeah. Fair.
Like Vicky Vale could have handled this on her own. He is not needed. He is not wanted.
And you never see him again.
And you never see him again after this film, probably for good reason.
I remember you were just like, I would have been fine if he died. I'm like, damn.
I mean, he doesn't elicit a lot. Like, there are plenty of original characters,
Right.
Harley Quinn started out in the animated series and later,
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with being an original character who's not specifically from the comic books.
True.
But he is not a character who elicits much connection to the
Fair.
audience. And he's not needed.
Right. That's fair.
And I also liked Bob.
Yeah, Bob's great. Yeah.
Bob's great. And I guess we gotta talk about Jack Nicholson. Or my turn to talk about Jack Nicholson.
Yeah.
Because again, as someone who went into this hearing a lot about the performance and not really seeing it contextually all the way through.
Yeah.
It's really cool. I really loved the mix of darkness with camp, and humor, and the fact that after he goes into the acid, when he comes out and then he's disguising himself by putting on flesh tone makeup
Right.
over all the bleached skin, and it's all You look scarier now.
Right.
Why? I mean, I guess this is normal, but also the love that Joker ads.
Oh yeah, love that Joker.
Love that. And also, like, it's funny, but it's so creepy at the same time because, like, he just killed those women.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And then it's like grafting his mouth on them, like, love that Joker.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, funny but really creepy. Which,
yeah.
like, I feel like the best Jokers are a mix of that. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, I thought that was quite cool. Let's see, other thoughts. Michael Gough as Albert.
No.
Alfred. Jesus
We read
Christ.
our Spider-Man
My
reading
brain.
earlier.
Yeah, I know, right?
I'll stop you, Superman. What? Wait, wrong comic.
Yeah, wrong comic. Yeah, he is our one constant through all four of these films, and he, like, right off the bat, he's got that sort of, like, paternal warmth to him in his interactions with Bruce,
Totally.
and with Vicky.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So, all in all, we already talked about the aesthetic of Gotham, which is important.
Yes.
Because
forward.
it changes
in every movie.
from film to film.
Yeah.
So here we've got, comic book style New York, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
It look like there's a bit of, like, Burton-esque touches in there.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall it's, like, kind of heightened reality, and it makes for a really cool look.
Yeah.
And there's also some fun Burton-y touches, like, there's this great... so in this film, they are going with the Joker origin story of, I was a gangster, and then I fell into a vat of acid, and I became the Joker. So there's this great part where, like, he's running up the stairs, and, like, the camera's shooting from below as he's running up the stairs, and he runs off camera, and then Batman just steps out of the shadows and follows him. And it's like, it's such a cool moment of like Batman's not, like, Batman isn't, like, if this were a slasher flick, Batman would be the killer. Right. Like, that's the way it's kind of framed, which was a cool directorial choice. Overall very, very good.
Did you like the
lots of gadgets.
Yeah. Did you like the Jack Napier kills his parents thing?
Oh, right. No, I did not. Joe Cool does not exist in this film. They decided to have young Jack Napier be the one who killed Thomas and Martha Wayne, and I find that although I will say that the guy playing young Jack Napier, creepy as hell. Like, he makes the most of his little, like, half a minute of screen time with, like, just the creepiest Joker smile.
Yeah.
Props to him. But yeah, like, that is a choice that I did not appreciate. I kind of get what they were going for.
You made me, I made you. Yeah.
But I did not like it in the way that it was utilized, narratively speaking, because it made it feel like, I made you, but you made me, so that alleviates any responsibility for me for what I do to you. And that's just not Batman to me. He's still going to feel responsible regardless. So, yeah, that's,
Fair. I think it was a mistake to kill the Joker off, though. Now, obviously, what they knew in '89, they were just making a movie. They didn't know they were going to do a trilogy or anything like that. It was just, they're just making a Batman movie. We'll see how things go. But, hindsight being 2020, maybe he gets locked up in Arkham and you don't see him for a couple movies. But, I would have kept that opening, It's the same thing happened when Spider-Man with Green Goblin. Like, why the fuck did we kill him off?
Right.
One of those, whoops.
But we killed him off too soon.
Yeah.
It does, so when that movie came out, Bob Kane was still alive.
Yeah.
And apparently he did do some consulting. I don't know if he did any consulting on Batman Returns, but he did consult on this film. Yeah. And Bob Kane was not a fan of rogue galleries for heroes. He thought it made heroes look weak to have recurring villains. And I mean, for whatever work he did on Batman, which we now know is very little, but but when Batman was going to presses, he that was his mandate, was like, Batman will have no rogues gallery. He's not Dick Tracy. He's not going to have any recurring rogues. Right. So the first 2 issues of Batman. Sorry, this is a slight detour, but the first 2 issues of Batman, his very first villain is the Joker, and the Joker was supposed to die at the end of the 2nd issue. Huh. Like dead. Yeah. Like very similar to how he dies in this film.
Oh, okay.
And he was gonna be dead, and you would never see him again.
Right.
Bill Finger, who did most of the writing for Batman, and created the Joker, created a very memorable look. We all know what the Joker looks like. And so after that first issue was printed, they got a lot of letters back, from fans, how much they loved the Joker. They couldn't wait to see more of him. Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. And the 2nd issue is already going to presses where he dies. And so something on the last panel, they added a quick little thing of his hand twitching out from under the dead body blanket or whatever, and the end had a question mark after it, something along those lines, and so that they could bring him back. But that is why we started getting a rogues gallery for Batman, who probably has the most famous rogues gallery of all heroes. Sure. But yeah, if it had been up to Bob Kane, you would never have seen him again.
Yeah, it's interesting how things go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I did like when he's down and he's dead on the ground. He got
That was really cool. Yeah. If I were to have one quibble, about the film, it's because Michael Keaton does he has really good presence for it. He just comes off like a natural badass. Yeah. He is not a very athletic Batman. Fair. Compared to Adam West, he cool. He threw a punch. Woohoo! Yeah. But there's a big reliance on gadgets I noticed in the film. Yeah. That I mean, Batman has his gadgets. He's famous for his gadgets, but he's not quite as reliant on them in more modern adaptations as opposed to Michael Keaton's Batman. Right. And I think it's probably to compensate for the fact that Michael Keaton is not an action star. Right. He's and so it's all punch, and that's that fight scene. Yeah. So and that's not a knock. It was just kind of all that's interesting. Right. And also, poor thing cannot turn his neck. Oh yeah. The infamous Batman whole upper body turn to look at you. Yeah.
Which would not be changed until Christian Bale. Okay.
Right. Oh my gosh. Although I will say also, Michael Caine, he has a great side eye. There's one of those I think where he's driving Vicky Vale in the Batmobile, and she's trying to get a look at his face, and he blocks her, and then he just gives her this because he can't move his neck, but he gives her this really
oh yeah.
It's so cold. Yeah. It's just a look. It's oh damn. You may not throw many punches, and I still don't want to cross you. Right. So cool. Yeah.
So yeah, a good start.
A good start.
Yes.
How will it go from here?
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Now we go to Batman Returns, which was the second offering from Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm. And it came out in 92?
Yes, 92. Mm-hmm. Yes. And it is a Christmas movie, technically. Mm-hmm. So yeah, just like Die Hard. There you go. So yeah, in this one we have the Penguin, played by Danny DeVito, and Michelle Pfeiffer plays Catwoman, and of course Michael Keaton is back as Batman. There's no Harvey Dent at all. Christopher Walken plays this original character,
Max Schreck.
And he's his Christopher Walken
With like this shock of white hair.
White hair, yeah.
Yeah, and I like they changed some things around, but his like this was supposed to be Harvey Dent.
Yeah.
This
is how he's gonna be.
This was supposed to be how Harvey Dent becomes Two-Face.
Yeah.
And instead we have Max Schreck.
Yes.
Being Christopher Walken in a white wig and getting electrocuted.
Yeah. I did like the guy who played his son, though. I thought was,
oh, yeah.
In a very Harry Osborn quality tone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was nice.
And he actually kind of sounded like Christopher Walken, too.
Yeah, it sounded like he was doing a Christopher Walken impression, and like a good one.
Yeah.
So it's like, we're father and son.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I pointed this out when we were watching Batman and Robin today, that, like, I said, yeah, even after the Joker, there's still a lot of, like, other clown-esque character, henchman-y people.
Oh,
throughout
my God.
Yeah. We'll get to that. But yeah, like...
for this film?
I mean, all throughout there's...
I know, but I'm saying specifically in Batman Returns.
Yeah.
Okay, all right,
Yeah,
because...
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whew.
Yeah.
Oh, my.
Right. So, as far as casting goes, I feel like the casting was good. Like, Danny DeVito is good. I just didn't like the overall weird Tim Burton, let's make him a penguin weird creature thing.
Right?
That's not the penguin at all.
Oh, my God.
And look, I understand this is an adaptation. You're going to change things up a little bit, but it's just, that's not the fucking penguin, you know?
It was so weird. It was just weird for the sake of being weird.
Yeah.
And it took up screen time that, quite frankly, it wasn't interesting.
Yeah, and
like nothing they do with the penguin is interesting.
You don't even see Batman for like 20 minutes in the first movie.
Right? Yeah, so it's like, oh, this is his movie, right?
Yeah,
oh, here he is, sitting in the dark in his study, doing absolutely freaking nothing until the bat signal comes on.
Yeah, just do it.
He's literally like sitting there like this.
Yeah, and then...
until the bat signal comes on, and it's all like,
oh, I gotta do some shit. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's all like, oh, right.
I often do that myself. I'm just in the office contemplating until I see it.
With the lights off?
Yes.
All the lights off.
My life is weird. No, it's like, anyway. So
Good gravy. So silly. Yeah, so Vicky's gone.
Yeah. She's referenced a little bit.
She is referenced a little bit, basically, because there's a conversation in the first film about, like, can you handle... Apparently the answer was no.
Yeah. Oh, we tried. Yeah. That's just
Did they?
You don't know. You weren't there.
No.
This was off screen. You don't know.
This was off screen. I kind of missed her, though.
That's fair. But we got Michelle Pfeiffer.
But we got Michelle Pfeiffer as Selena Kyle.
And she's excellent.
And she is freaking amazing.
Absolutely.
She's so good.
I still stand by that she's the best Catwoman we ever had.
I can buy into that, because, oh my gosh. And we're probably going to make ourselves look a little like hypocrites here, but I don't care. Yeah. So, liberties are also taken with Catwoman's origins as well.
Yeah.
But these work.
Yeah, I agree.
These actually work. Because, and other people have gone into this before. There are whole video essays on this, so we're not going to waste time with it here. Yeah. But Michelle Pfeiffer's take on Catwoman is like a perfect encapsulation of female rage.
Totally.
And it's portrayed so well. Mm-hmm. She does such a fantastic job. First as Selena Kyle, when she, like, this introverted, repressed secretary. Yeah. Like, there's that moment, like, after Batman saves her, where she picks up, like, the goon is, like, passed out at her feet, and she picks up his taser, and she kind of gets this look on her face, and then she just tases him for no reason. Yeah. So, like, you already know something's going on. There's a screw loose already. And then just, like, the whole, like, her voice machine with just, like, the bombardment of female beauty products and dating advice and guys breaking up with her and her mom nagging about how she needs to find a man, and like how her apartment is like this very like stereotypical like feminine sanctuary, not so much because she wants it to be, but because that's how she thinks it should be. And then she gets killed by Max Schreck, and the cats bring her back to life.
Yeah.
And she comes back and just fucking annihilates everything.
Right? And there's no bad CGI cats breathing into.
Right, no. Oh, God. We're not talking about that movie. But it's so great. And then she just goes around just, like, whipping heads off of mannequins. And
Right, yeah.
which Michelle Pfeiffer really did. Cool. She did her own whipping stunts.
That's cool.
So yeah, it's such a great performance, and it's so sexy, and she and Michael Keaton have so much chemistry together.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So great, and then sadly, on the opposite end of that, we have the Penguin, who just does not work at all.
Right. Yeah. And by no fault of Danny DeVito's.
No,
yeah,
he is doing his
yeah.
He is doing his level best.
Yeah.
He is doing his absolute level best with the material he's been given.
Right.
He's just been given really shitty material.
Yeah.
Why is speaking of clowns?
Yeah.
We're gonna talk about him in this movie. Why is the Penguin hanging out in a circus?
Right.
In the sewers.
Right.
Why is the circus in
He's
the
not
sewer?
Killer Croc, yeah.
Right? Right? Oh my God.
Yeah.
So
that's where
stupid.
As creative as Burton is, that's where his Burton-esque got into it. He's very much about that darkness, that outcast kind of,
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah.
Like, it certainly works.
Yeah,
but
it works more in his original work than it does in something he didn't originally, so it's like, it's like,
I mean, you got that a bit too with the Joker in the first Batman movie, and you get it here with Catwoman,
right?
But it just doesn't work for the Penguin. Like, they lean like way too hard into like kind of wanting you to feel sympathetic for him, but but he's also just a creep.
Yeah.
Like a legitimate creep, and it's just no.
Yeah, and the weird circus clowns. It's like,
and the weird circus clowns. What was that?
Why does he have circus clowns?
Right. Why are the circus clowns hacking the Batmobile?
Right. Yeah.
That was what in the world. Also, that's something else I forgot to mention. The Batmobile in these two Burton films is so cool.
Oh yeah,
I love it.
Absolutely. And you, as you were saying, the aesthetic changes for the city. It's much more Burton-esque in this one than it was.
Yeah, Gotham has gone from being comic book-esque New York to Tim Burton City.
Yeah, it's Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah, it is like just gothic everything.
Yeah.
Like towers and yeah, it's just like, it's so gothic looking. The sun never shines.
Right.
And it's so weird.
Yeah.
Like, and so like as aesthetically wise, it can work sometimes, like especially like for some of like the Christmassy scenes, but overall it's just all like, oh, so you wanted us to know Tim Burton made this movie. Got it.
Pretty much.
We understood.
And of course there was the infamous thing with the McDonald's toys that came out for kids, and then they took their kid to see this movie and saw how dark it was, and like, ah! Yeah, so, yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So, any comments on Michael Keaton in this movie?
He's not in it very much.
Right? Yeah.
Like, he makes the best impression in his scenes with Catwoman. Again, he and Michelle Pfeiffer have great chemistry together, but it does feel like he gets sidelined in this one.
Yeah.
Not even really in favor of Catwoman, but in favor of the Penguin. And I think that's why so much of the Penguin stuff doesn't work.
Yeah. True.
Yeah. So yeah, like, I mean, and it's not like Michael Keaton's doing anything wrong. It's just like he has very little to do, except, you know, romance Selena Kyle and then figure out that she's Catwoman.
Yeah.
And the climax, I think, of the film, I think is great.
Yeah.
Where he's willing to like rip his cowl off just to save her.
Yeah. And he's also definitely not killing anyone, like that guy who put the dynamite with him. Batman doesn't kill except that guy who's just blew himself up. But
Jeez Louise.
yeah.
But it's a fun watch. This was not the first time I'd seen it.
Yeah.
I had enjoyed, I've always enjoyed it, but it's like watching it right after 1989 Batman. It does feel like a step down in terms of quality.
I think that's kind of how things
kind
of went.
Yeah, like really, like I still recommend it. Like,
yeah, it's still good.
If for nothing else, for Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman.
Totally.
She is fabulous.
Why are you dressed like Bruce Wayne? Why are you dressed like Batman? Because he is Batman, you idiot.
That was
such a Chris roll.
That was great.
All right, so that wraps up Batman Returns. So that's all right. Now we move into a bit of an aesthetic change with Batman Forever. So what happened here is that originally Tim Burton was going to direct this one, and there was talk about Robin Williams being Riddler, Marlon Wayans was going to be Robin. Of course, originally before Batman Returns, it was supposed to be Harvey Dent as Billy D. Williams as Two-Face in this. But then I think because of the backlash they got from Batman Returns being too dark, they wanted to make it more kiddie, I guess, or more family friendly, I guess.
Yeah.
So they brought in Joel Schumacher, and Michael Keaton has mentioned how he really liked Batman Begins because that's what he wanted to do with the third one, was go back and show how he became a hero.
Because that would have given him more to do.
Yeah, since he didn't get to do much in the second one. So Michael Keaton also bowed out, which means we had to recast Batman.
And we've got Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer as Bruce Wayne Batman.
Yes.
And then we have Tommy Lee Jones taking over as Two-Face, and we have Jim Carrey as the Riddler.
Yes.
And Nicole Kidman plays a random character named Chase Meridian,
an original character. And
Chris O'Donnell debuts as Robin.
Yes. So, Batman Forever came out in 1995, and we had spoken about this before. But there was something that happened between Batman Returns and Batman Forever, and that was Batman the Animated Series, which was a very big hit, especially for kids. In fact, I think that was my first exposure to Batman.
Cool.
Was the animated series, and for a lot of these characters. Yeah. So so the aesthetic tone of Batman Forever kind of reflects the series, which is kind of interesting because the series was inspired by the Tim Burton films for their aesthetic, or at very least the 1989 Batman, because the animated series reflects that sort of like modern meets vintage film noir, dark in terms of its aesthetic, but you also having like these big pops of color because it's still a cartoon. Right. And then Batman Forever, when Batman Forever came out, it was, I think, right after that the original run of the show had ended. And so we've got these very colorful villains, but we still have kind of like this gothic sort of architecture for Gotham. It's not as gothic as Batman Returns was. Colors, but there's more bright colors. It's also a little more realistic in terms of its city design. But there's also like these like gigantic statues everywhere of Atlas. Well, okay, because we'll get into that for the next film. Yeah. But here they actually have they have a symbolic purpose, because all the big statues are of Atlas, holding up the world. Right. And Bruce Wayne actually gets a subplot in this film, which is how he having to confront his own trauma and how he takes on all these burdens and everything. So the recurring theme of the Atlas statues reflects Bruce Wayne's own mentality. So there is actually a symbolic purpose for them being all over the city.
Right.
That's not going to be the case for Batman and Robin, but we'll get there.
Yes.
Yes. Was there anything?
Well, sure.
Sure.
Sure. We'll talk about the film.
Yeah, let's talk about the film. All right.
Okay.
I really like this film.
I like it okay.
It's the first one I ever saw in theaters, so.
That's fair. I like it okay. I had some issues with it, but
Of course. It is not a perfect film.
yeah,
I agree.
I think Val Kilmer is good. I think, for having to take over, I think he's pretty solid. He's a good Bruce Wayne. I think he plays the Batman as well.
He does play the Batman as well.
He does? What? That was him? I've always kind of liked Val Kilmer as an actor anyway. I know he's not had the best reputation occasionally on sets, but as an actor, I think he's pretty good. But yeah, no, I think he's pretty good. I think he steps in well. Actually, the only returning cast members from the Burton films is Michael Gough as Alfred and Commissioner Gordon's Pat Hingle. Everybody else is pretty much new people.
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman is fine, but she's basically just there to be a sex symbol.
Yeah, which is kind of too bad because
Yeah.
the Chase Meridian character has a lot of potential.
Yeah.
She's like this top psychiatrist. She's smart enough that she can psychoanalyze Two-Face and Bruce Wayne on first meeting them.
Yeah.
She's a competent boxer.
Right.
There's a lot of potential there. And it's kind of unfortunate that like she's used mainly to be a love interest for Bruce and
Right.
little else.
Fair.
Which I feel is too bad because again
Yeah.
there's potential there for her as a character.
Right.
And
heartbreak feels good in a place like this.
Yeah. Well, and Nicole Kidman, like she's good in the part.
Yeah, she's fine. Yeah.
I remember as a kid, like I wanted that hair. I thought she had the most beautiful hair
Yeah,
in the
she's
world.
insane.
And she and Val Kilmer have good chemistry together.
Yeah, totally.
Also, just in case you were wondering whether or not this tied in with the previous film, there's a scene very early on where Chase Meridian tries to seduce Batman, and he's kind of like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And she's all like, "Oh, should I have shown up in a vinyl cat suit and a whip?" And it's all like, "Damn, she got your number."
Right. So it's nice that they acknowledge the previous ones. Yeah, and then we have sort of a subplot of how we get this weird flashback scene on a news report of how Two-Face gets acid thrown on him.
Yeah, how did Harvey become Two-Face?
Yeah, which is technically from the comics. He gets acid thrown on him. But there's this fucking hilarious scene of Batman in Batman costume trying to stop.
Jumping out of the jury box.
That shit's fucking
Batman
hilarious.
had jury duty, apparently.
That was hilarious.
It is so silly.
Yeah. And apparently there was supposed to be more stuff that was cut out that would have...
Yeah.
Because
it would have
really,
made this make
yeah,
sense.
and also because you don't really ever get... And even in the Tim Burton one, they never interact.
They never talk to each other.
Whereas
Bruce
there's supposed to
Wayne,
be a friendship.
Bruce Wayne and Harvey Dent never talk to each other in the 1989 Batman.
Yeah.
And their friendship is very important in the comic books.
Yeah.
And it's very important in the animated series. And it feels like it's supposed to be important in this movie.
Right.
Because they do have, each of them does have a moment where they reference each other as a friend.
Right.
But it doesn't feel like, because we never knew
Wasn't
their
established,
knew their friendship.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, that is a weird thing.
Yes. Shall we talk about Tommy John's performance?
Sure, because you and I think, have a little different opinions.
We do.
We do.
Should I go first?
Go for it. Go for it. I can tell you want to talk. It's fine.
I did not enjoy his performance. And Tommy Jones is an excellent actor, but he was acting too much like the Joker, and that's what they told him to do. So he's just doing what he's told to do. But it didn't work for me as Two-Face. It just felt too over the top and hammy, and I get it's Batman. It's it's supposed to be hammy a little bit, but it felt more hammy than Jack Nicholson ever did. And just for me personally, I'm not saying he wasn't having fun, and that's fine, but like, I don't know. For me, it was just like we already had kind of Jim Carrey being very over the top because he's Jim Carrey, which I could take because it's Jim Carrey.
Well, and it kind of, and I guess we'll get into it, but it also worked for the character that he was playing.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, Jim's good. I enjoyed Jim in this just fine. There were moments where he needed to pull back a little bit, I think, but it's Jim. But there was also some nice sinister moments from Jim Carrey too. I like they were just, very on edge and stuff, which I did like. So like
You were supposed to understand.
Yeah.
I'll make you understand.
Yeah. I didn't say by no means is Tommy Jones horrible in it. I don't mean to be like that. For me, it didn't work. It just.
No, it's fair.
I think it goes to a lot of what we were saying. There's been no establishment of them having a friendship. It's just one random courtroom scene that we're supposed to give a shit, and it's just like you've had no interaction in these previous movies. So there's no friendship established to care about. So it's like, okay, I guess he's just hamming it up with his pink face. Yeah.
It's fuchsia.
Fuchsia. Okay.
It's a fuchsia face.
Yeah. Yeah. I just like I also one thing I liked about the previous films too was that you had some kind of like early establishment of the character, whereas this one it just goes right into the action of Two-Face right away. Like Riddler gets some build up.
He does, yes.
Yeah. Whereas it just feels like Two-Face is like, well, I'm here. I'm Two-Face. I'm causing chaos.
Yeah.
And he's involved in Robin's parents' death and stuff.
And I think if they had and it didn't even have to be like at the beginning of the film. If they had included like all the footage that they had shot like as a flashback sequence, it would have helped. It would have been helped be more establishing for his character.
Right. Yeah. And then you could see kind of the change in personality and stuff like that.
And you could how that affected both him and Bruce.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
And it would have made those scenes make a little more sense.
All right, your take.
My take. So I do agree with what you say. In terms that that this is a very troubled Two-Face performance. It doesn't feel like Two-Face. There are moments where it feels like Two-Face, like his opening monologue at the beginning of the film, where he has those moments of like, heads you get to live, tails I'm blowing you away. Like he has some moments where like he talks in two separate voices, like one's the good side and one's the bad side, but it never really coalesces into a cohesive performance as Two-Face. I still enjoy this performance. Which is funny because for years I've gone for a long time I felt the same way you did, where it's like, this is terrible Two-Face and blah, 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 blah. And like rewatching it was just like, as far as Two-Face goes, this isn't really true to the character.
Yeah.
But like, it's so goofy and he's having so much fun. And he and like their on-set relationship may not have been great, but he and Tim Carrey play off each other really well. Like
Carrey?
What did I say?
You said Tim Carrey.
I meant Jim Carrey. But they play off each other really well, and it's like the dynamic is just like, well, I can't hate you guys.
Right? Yeah.
Like, you guys. You keep robbing those jewelry stores and wearing your little tiaras out. Like, you're having fun.
Right.
I can't hate on that. Or like his like, why can't you just die? Or just like randomly shooting into the air. I am willing to put aside because this continuity has put it aside. So I'm willing to put aside the fact that this is not really Two-Face.
Right.
And just appreciate the fact that it's, for the fun it is.
Right.
Yeah.
Cool.
It does not deter my enjoyment.
Okay.
Let's see. Who else should we talk about?
Well, you haven't talked about Jim Carrey.
I haven't talked about Jim Carrey. Or Tim Carrey. No.
Jim Carrey.
Jim Carrey as the Riddler. I think this is a great performance. Are there moments that are highly dated to 1995?
Sure.
Yes. But does it work for the most part? Absolutely. Mm-hmm. I love how, the opening... Oh, that's another thing I forgot to mention. Something that I really love about this movie's Bruce Wayne. Mm-hmm. He actually works his job.
Yeah.
You actually see him at Wayne Enterprises.
Right.
Doing something. He's not just sitting in a dark study... brooding and waiting for the bat signal to come on. Like, he actually has a life. And I love that for him. And also something that I appreciate about Val Kilmer's Bruce Wayne is in the introductory scene for Edward Nygma, it is immediately established this is not a socialized person in the slightest. He has like a wall of compute, everyone has their little desks at Wayne Enterprises, and he has like a wall of computers all around his desk that he has to climb out from behind just so he can go talk to Bruce. It's so stupid looking, him peering through the one little gap in the... So this is not a socialized person. His supervisor treats him like shit. And but Bruce Wayne is like, no, let's hear what you have to say. Yeah, you have something to say to me. And it's something I've always appreciated about the Batman character that sometimes gets kind of shucked to the wayside. Which is his empathy for neurodivergent people,
right?
Which often carries through in his treatment of his villains. Right. That sense of kindness and empathy that he shows for someone who's just a little off, felt in character. But yes, Edward Nygma, right from the start. Something's off about this guy. Yeah. I want to manipulate brainwaves. And it's like, no, you're not going to manipulate brainwaves in your helmet with a blender on it.
It's possible.
Oh, right. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, it's so good. But yeah, Jim Carrey does a really good job mixing the, balancing the camp with the sinister. Mm-hmm.
Totally.
Again, I would say about 99% of the time he does a really good job doing that.
Yeah.
Him, Jack Nicholson, and Michelle Pfeiffer, I feel all did a really so as far as Batman villains go, he's one of the better ones, I feel.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
He also has that fabulous bodysuit he wears at the end of the film. That's sparkly white with the question mark mask. I love it so. It's so great. And then the horned hair to look like the bat cowl.
Right.
and when he shoots the question mark sign into the sky to cover up the bat signal.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, there's so many cool touches that I really enjoy.
We got to talk about two of the extras in this movie.
Oh God!
Yes. We have the infamous one that's probably been seen where it's like, "Hey, Batman! Yay!"
Yay!
But there's a guy right at the beginning that Batman's trying to rescue.
Two-Face's hostage.
And this guy is the most annoying motherfucker.
Oh my gosh.
I'm just let him duck and die. Because he's like, my glasses! Oh, my feet! They're going to be burned by the acid! I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude.
I know, right?
There's overacting, and then there's what you're doing. I mean, good God.
You're in a movie with Jim Carrey.
Yeah, and you're...
And you're...
Yeah.
overacting more than he is.
Yeah, I was just like, good God, just let him die. And just let the acid burn this man. He's horrible. Right.
Yeah, there's some interesting aesthetic changes. They have more pops of color. We already mentioned that. But there's also sort of a lean in to neon.
Yeah.
That is very 90s of them.
Yeah.
And I think even by 95 was feeling a little dated.
Sure.
But yeah, like the random neon gang.
Yep.
I mention this because it's not the last you'll see of them in these films.
Right.
Oh, we haven't talked about Chris O'Donnell yet.
I was just gonna suggest. Yeah.
Chris O'Donnell is in this as as Dick Grayson.
Yeah.
Well, personality-wise, he's kind of like backstory-wise, he's Dick Grayson, but
Yeah.
Personality-wise, he's kind of Jason Todd.
I can see that. Yeah.
But yeah, they do the whole Flying Graysons thing,
Yeah.
and they decide to make it all Two-Face's fault.
Yeah. Which is not comic accurate.
No, it is not comic accurate.
Whose fault? Is it just a random accident in the comics?
No, so I think it was a jealous fellow circus
okay.
performer
Gotcha.
who cut the line on them.
Bastards.
Yeah.
So it's just they're Joe Chill, basically.
Pretty much, yeah. But it's a reason for Bruce to decide to adopt this 17-year-old.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I liked the repertoire they had between them.
Yeah,
I really liked the scene that he has with Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the whole like broken wings heal and
Yeah.
like it's like there's some very sweet scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Metropolis gets a shout out,
Yeah.
which leads to like some world building there, so that's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
of course. Yeah.
But yeah, like I like him. He's good in the film.
Yeah.
He has the Robin suit that he
Yeah.
gets to wear is really for the climax is really cool looking.
Yeah, definitely.
And I made fun of his cry face
Yes,
during
you
the
did.
film. But other than that, he was good.
Yeah.
Other than that, like he had that spunk to him, and like like he felt like good sidekick material without being annoying or
right. Not being Damian Wayne.
yeah, he's not obnoxious about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, overall
Overall,
this is a good movie.
yeah, I enjoyed it.
I don't care what anybody says.
It's solid. It's a different. It veers a little bit from what we had, but I think there's still enough aesthetics that keep it more or less in the same world.
Yeah, and we get some insight into Bruce Wayne, which is
Yeah.
nice.
I wish we got more of those cutscenes.
His dream, all the well, not all of it. Most of the dream sequences got cut to keep the mood lighter.
Yeah.
And which is too bad because I think that would have helped balance out some of the campier aspects of the film.
All right, so the moment has come. You want camp, guys? Boy, do we got camp for you!
Batman and Robin.
Because while there was still some camp in the last one, and even honestly in the Burton ones, but like they decide, you know what? You want even more campy, and boy, did
What's
they
that
go
you say?
all out.
What's that you say? The 1960s Batman is on reruns? Okay.
Yeah. So let's get the cast first, obviously. So first off, Arnold Schwarzenegger plays Mr. Freeze, Victor Freeze, and he is given top billing over the actor playing Batman, which is already a mistake. But that's just how it was. And Val Kilmer is not playing Bruce Wayne or Batman this time. It's now George Clooney, fresh off of ER and Dust Till Dawn. Chris O'Donnell is back as Robin, and then we have
Michael goes back as Alfred.
Yeah, and Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon, and then we have Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy,
and Alicia Silverstone as Batgirl.
And then there's also some rando that plays Bane, which we'll get into. And John Glover's in this movie for a little bit.
Yay! John Glover, who voiced the Riddler on Batman the Animated Series.
Yes, and he was also on Smallville. Lionel Luthor.
Lionel Luthor on Smallville. You gotta love Lionel Luthor.
Yeah, they were great on there. All right, so why don't we try to start with some of the positives?
Yeah,
and there are very few.
Yeah, but I mean, like, it'll be quick.
Positives, Because this is the first time I had watched it since I saw it in the theater in '97.
Oh God.
And this was a long time since you'd seen it too.
Yeah.
So, but we were just like, we have to watch the other ones. This ties up the Schumacher Burton-esque universe, so this is we have to push through. And
yeah, we have to. It does feel pretty torturous, but let's go ahead. Let's talk about some of the positives.
Okay.
The opening is a banger.
Yeah.
Like the whole, the bat signal.
Yeah.
Like the Warner Brothers turns into the bat signal, which then freezes over.
Yeah.
And then like it lights up, and then the Robin signal overlays it.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Like that whole sequence. Beautiful. It's such a strong opening. The Batcave itself looks really cool. Mm-hmm. And they start talking.
So much like the last movie where we had Two-Face already there and doing this one, we basically they get called to go to this Mr. Freeze who's causing chaos. We get an initial scene of Robin saying, "Chicks steal the car. This is why Superman works alone." And really corny
and
lines
we
like that.
are off to the races.
Yes.
But hang on, let's keep it positive for a second.
Okay.
So the opening, banger.
Yes.
I didn't like this Robin outfit as much as the previous Robin outfit. Like I think they should have just brought it over to this film.
Yeah.
It looked cool. This Robin outfit looks more like the Nightwing outfit, except red instead of blue, and then they gave him a cape, and I'm not quite sure why they did that. But it still looks pretty good on camera.
Yeah.
I like the it is bulky.
Yeah.
But I like the Freeze look.
Yeah.
I especially like the makeup and what they did with his eyes.
Yeah, totally.
That was really effective. Part of me wishes that he had kept, because the glass, Mr. Freeze usually wears his glasses that cover up his eyes most or all of the time, and I wish he had kept those on for most of the film, so that way, in the scene where he gets arrested and taken to Gotham, or taken to Arkham, and is trying to escape his cell, but he can't leave. He can't go any further than the than where the cold air ends. And that causes him to collapse. I think that would have been more effective if that was the first time you saw him without the glasses, because what they when he's collapsed on the floor and he's and they've got this whole thing with his veins bulging out and his eyes are turning red and all these he looks horrifying, and Arnold Schwarzenegger's doing the whole the ring girl crawl across the floor, and it's legit kind of scary to look at. So that was cool. John Glover.
Yeah. Yeah, of course.
We love you. Glover. I really wish you'd had more screen time.
Yeah, I wish
but I'm also glad that you had minimal screen time because of Batman and Robin.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's fabulous. So great. And
does that tie up your positive, son, or is it...
No.
Okay.
I liked I think we've talked. George Clooney was not as bad as I remember him being.
Yeah.
He's let down by the writing. He's let down by the fact that he feels too normal to be Batman.
Yeah.
But as Bruce Wayne, he's really good. He has that smooth charm.
Yeah.
And his scenes with Alfred are really beautiful. Where you really do get the feeling that he views him as a father figure.
Right.
And that was really sweet to see.
Totally.
And I was very excited to see Batgirl in this film. I wish she'd had more to do. And I wish Alicia Silverstone had kind of more of a stronger presence.
Right.
But I liked her outfit.
Yeah.
I like the fact that she got to use both her her combat skills and her computer hacking skills to save the day.
Yeah, there you go.
And I think that's everything from me.
Okay. Cool.
Anything that I did not mention that you feel should get a mention? That's good.
I'm going to, much like you with Tommy Lee Jones.
Sure.
I enjoy the hell out of Schwarzenegger, I'll be honest.
Sure, that's fine.
And maybe it's just because I'm a lover of puns. For those of you who watch the channel with my puns of the day.
Puns of the day!
Yeah. Now I meant it from a perspective of this is too campy and this is just really like, oh my god, why are they doing this to Mr. Freeze? The character. But it's the same way I'm with Stallone. Like, it's Arnold, you know? He's not, as long as he's being anybody but Arnold, really. But, you know, he's having a good time. And for me, it's kind of like, I left it all as terrible ice puns. I did. I fully admit it. You know?
I know you did.
You know, it's just, and yeah, I'm not saying it's a great performance. I'm not saying it's a great thing for the character by any means. I would love to see a different take on Mr. Freeze, obviously. But yeah, for that time, for what it was, I thought he was fun. And I did I liked his design and the eyes and all that. Yeah, and I thought, so I will say from my personal perspective,
Sure.
I enjoyed. He made the movie for me, honestly. Honestly, I think when I first saw it, that was what made the movie for me was him, because it's like, just because not in a performance level like a Jim Carrey or Michelle Pfeiffer, but just because it's Arnold, you know.
Yeah.
You know, it's Kindergarten Cop. It's
that's fine, honey.
Yeah.
That's okay. And I will say, like, in the moments that he has, I guess I should have mentioned this, in the moments that he has where he's actually allowed to be Mr. Freeze.
Yeah.
And not, campy punny guy.
Yeah.
But in the moments where he's actually allowed to be Mr. Freeze, I thought he was effective.
Yeah.
I really liked those moments of him, like, you know, with his wife.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Because that is the substance of his character.
Totally.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, he wasn't all bad.
No, I didn't think that.
And you are totally allowed to like what you like, honey.
Yeah. Fair.
Yeah.
All right, so now we'll get into the mini negatives of this film. Okay, so besides all the puns and campiness, we have a third different actor playing Batman, so this is already, you're losing. If you thought it was weird enough having Michael go react to this guy who doesn't look like Michael Keaton, now he has to react to a guy who look like Michael Keaton or Val Kilmer.
Yeah. I will say, for both Val Kilmer and, since I did mention this about Michael Keaton not having much in the way of fighty stuff, both Val Kilmer and George Clooney acquit themselves very well in their fight scenes. They have a lot more. Val Kilmer kind of got the ball rolling on it in terms of like martial arts moves, lots of kicks and stuff like that, despite the fact that he can't move his neck. And George Clooney, for the most part, keeps it going here.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, we're dealing with our third different Batman. We have the opening scene with the nipples and the butt.
Nipples and butts.
And then the cod piece, and it's just like, did you know Joe Schumacher was gay? I
mean, it's not.
It's not a secret. I'm just saying,
it shouldn't be relevant.
It shouldn't
but
be,
it's
but
just
it's
all
just
like, why?
Well, if you've seen The Lost Boys,
why do Batman and Robin have nipples and not Batgirl?
Right. Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
So the suit designs are interesting. Batman's suit design is just really weird in this movie. He's got straight up cropped rabbit ears. They are so long on the cowl. It's ridiculous looking.
Yep.
Really silly.
Robin's more annoying in this.
Robin is insanely annoying in this movie.
Yeah.
Everything I liked about him in Batman Forever is squashed in this film.
He's more Damian Wayne in this one.
I mean, or really more Jason Todd.
Yeah, fair.
Since Damian Wayne was not a thing in '97.
Fair. But yeah, that's what I just remember watching one of the animated ones of Damian Wayne. I just wanted to slap the shit out of him. It's like, you're fucking annoying, dude.
Yeah. But yeah, and the thing is, like, I remember as a kid, I was really excited for Batman and Robin.
Yeah, me too.
I was really excited for this film because partly because I had liked Robin.
Yeah.
In the previous, it's like, yeah, give Robin the respect he deserves. He's not a sidekick. He's a partner.
Yeah.
And then this movie comes along, and it's all like, go the fuck away. Get to the back of the line. You are behaving childishly.
Pretty much, yeah. And then we do get Barbara, but they make her fucking Alfred's niece. Why? Why? That's not... She's Gordon's daughter in most cases. So it's like, why would you
that was
not
weird.
just do that? Mm-hmm. Also, she's usually a redhead, but that's a whole nother thing.
Right, yeah. I mean, I think it was partly to keep the whole family subplot going. Yeah. But it was just, and it's like, hey, more Michael Go. That's nice.
But it's also,
but it was also weird.
Thanks for coming, Pat Hingle.
Right.
Pat Hingle just looks like he wants to be anywhere with this movie. He's just like, yeah.
Pat Hingle had completely checked out by the time this one rolled around, and I don't blame him.
They're doing nothing with my character. This is fucking Commissioner Gordon. They're doing nothing with it.
Right.
Yeah. And speaking of overacting,
oh my god.
Uma
Thurman as... I did not remember her being this bad.
Yeah.
This was shocking to me. Like, I remembered her being really over the top once Pamela Isley becomes Poison Ivy.
Right.
But I remember feeling like it felt, like, in...
Yeah.
I did not remember her being worse than Arnold Schwarzenegger, I guess, is where I'm going with this. And she is definitely worse than Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Agreed.
Like, it's like they're trying to have her be the new Catwoman, but it's so bad.
Yeah.
It is so bad. Like, even when she's Pamela Isley, she's delivering her lines over the top, and it is so... I'm making this weird troll face.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, as I was saying, it was a snooty artistic director being like, I've subverted expectations. That's kind of the snooty...
It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Do you smell a fart? What the hell's going on? Yeah.
Smell a fart. Yeah, it is so bad.
Yeah, and it doesn't let up either. It's just like
it just keeps going. It just keeps going.
Yeah, and she pointed out a point too, where like there's this big motorcycle race that Barb was doing that Robin, follows her to and rescues her, and it's just like. This is how much of a great arc we have in this movie that this shit had to be thrown in here to fill time.
Yeah, the plot is wafer thin.
Yeah.
Like so much screen time is just spent on people just randomly like, please do something so I can put it in the movie so we can stretch this out longer than an hour.
Right.
Like, the plot is, like, it's nothing.
Yeah.
It is absolute nothing.
Yes. And then just the ridiculousness of what they did with Bane was, like... I like his mask, okay, but, like, it's just, like...
It looks pretty... Like, altogether, it looks really rubbery.
It does. Well, it's very rubbery, yeah. But, like, I was just like... But, like, they just make him basically this big, jacked-up Nimrod who talks like he's a Mongoloid, and just like grunts, and then there's scenes where he's wearing a hat over his mask
and a trench coat,
and he looks fucking ridiculous.
It's
so
so
what
stupid.
The fuck is this? This is fucking the guy who broke Batman's back. I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah, like Bane is like, he's big and muscle bound, but he's also very smart.
Yeah.
He's a strategist, and we get none of that here.
Yeah.
Also, Batgirl and Robin leave him to die at the end, so there's that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and also like the part where they're figuring out that Pamela Isley is Poison Ivy, and it's like, we found this picture of her, and it's her with Bane in the trench coat and the hat, and it's all like, you are just now figuring out this looks suspicious?
Right.
What the heck? What about this said normal to you?
Right. Yeah.
Also, I think the time has come to talk about Gotham City, and the architectural Nimrod who designed it, because in this film, so leading up to this, we've had a lot of artistic choices from the directors, Tim Burton and Joel Schumacher, kind of putting their little stamp on how Gotham should look to varying degrees of success, but none of them like egregious. I don't feel.
Right. Yeah.
Here it is egregious.
Very neon. Very. Neon.
It is very neon. Everything feels very small.
Oh yeah.
And there are heads and giant statues everywhere. Everywhere, like in the middle of freeways. It's like, who designed this?
Right.
Buildings are designed to, like, with no structural stability whatsoever.
Arkham Asylum, yeah.
Arkham Asylum is on, like, so we saw Arkham Asylum at the end, I'm sorry, I'm getting really worked up.
You're fine.
We saw Arkham Asylum at the end of Batman Forever. The classic Gothic building on a hill.
Yep.
It looked cool. Yay. Good job. Here, it's on the edge of a fucking cliff. Like, right on the edge of a cliff, about to fall into the sea. And half of it is, like, just a bridge in the air leading nowhere. And it's like, what am I looking at?
Right.
What is this? And the Gotham Observatory that is so important to the film is literally just, like, a stand sticking out of a rock, and then a globe that people walk in. It's all like, that's gonna fall. Like, there's like, it's meant to, like, it's here because it looks cool, and it's all like, well, it's gotta have a purpose in order to look cool. Like, nothing has any purpose. Everything just looks stupid.
Yeah. We get the Neon Gang back briefly.
And the Neon Gang is back, and they are more neon than ever.
Yeah.
So
like,
much neon.
Yeah.
Oh.
And Elle McPherson is in this for a little bit.
It's Julie Madison.
Yeah.
Who, for those of you who don't know, was Batman's very first love interest in the comic books back in 1940.
Yeah. But she definitely does not play a romantic lead like the previous films.
Yeah.
She's just kind of there.
She does not matter.
Yeah.
To the plot at all.
And then
she doesn't even really matter to Bruce, it feels like.
It's hard with commitment. But, and then we had a couple of, like, extras or actors. We had the woman who looks like Cyndi Lauper a little bit with the glasses. I'm very over the top. Marriage and
her Gertie Gossip, I think is her name.
Gertie Gossip. Like,
Gotham must know.
And then Anna pointed out one of the people who, when they were like placing.
Yes.
Before the infamous bat credit card scene, she pointed out one of the guys in the crowd betting. Was the guy that told Norman Osborn he was out at Oscorp that drinks the tea.
Yeah. Yeah, if you've ever seen the 2002 Spider-Man film, the infamous boardroom scene at Oscorp where the guy's telling him that they're kicking him out, it's this guy in the crowd.
$1 million.
I billed $500,000, and I'm like, holy shit!
I will drink tea like an obnoxious douchebag.
You're out, Norman. It was him. It was this. It's the same actor, right? And it's all like, wow, what a mind.
Right.
Fuck.
It's hilarious. All right, so I guess
this movie sucks.
Yeah.
It has earned its reputation as a shitty film.
Yep. Fair enough.
It has some moments.
Yeah.
That are heartwarming.
Yeah.
That are cool. That belong in a better film.
Yeah.
But overall, this sucks, and it's a sad, shitty note for these films to go out on.
Right. Now, infamously after this, there was talk of doing a fifth film called Batman Triumphant.
I remember
which was supposed to bring the Scarecrow in and Harley Quinn, played by Madonna.
I can kind of see it.
I can see it, but I'd rather have
I can see 80s Madonna.
Yeah.
Not 90s Madonna.
No. maybe a better actress would be good. But yeah, they were supposed to have Jack Nicholson have a cameo in a flashback. I guess he was going to be Harley Quinn's dad or something somehow. That was
ew.
Hey, they already took liberties with. Yeah, it is what it is.
God! So that would make Alicia her mom.
I guess
We didn't talk about Alicia. Think of her as proto Harley with
yeah.
a much more tragic ending.
Oh yeah, proto Harley. Yeah, so that obviously didn't happen. Schumacher had many a times apologized for Batman and Robin.
I feel so bad for Joel
Yeah.
Schumacher. You know that wasn't all his fault.
No, I'm sure the studio was.
No, you know the studio was being all like, "Hey, this is popular with kids. Let's market it to the lowest common denominator because kids are stupid. Kids are not stupid."
Right.
I was a kid watching that movie when it first came out in theaters, and I knew this movie sucked.
Yep.
And it still sucks.
So
yeah, my vibe with Joel Schumacher was always that he was just a very like laid back, easygoing person who didn't want to ruffle feathers and was always just trying to to compromise.
And to his credit, Batman Forever was solid, and he made The Lost Boys, and he made Falling Down, which are all fine fucking films.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he definitely
he definitely no disrespect
deserves,
to him. It was
right? Yes.
Unfortunate place and time.
Very unfortunate because this movie really derailed the rest of his career.
And it derailed comic book movies for a bit, and Batman for that matter, until they brought the Nolan stuff in, which we'll talk about another time when we rewatch those. But yeah, so cool. I will come back on my own with a video, talking about things we could do to fix it or make better connections between the 4 movies, since there's loose connections, but it's there's characters missing and there's actors that aren't there, and it's just like how I would have made it work and connected things. I got some ideas on that, so I'll do that as a separate video.
Yay.
And
y'all should watch it.
Yeah, so we will watch the Dark Knight trilogy and then talk about that at some point. And then I guess after that we'll probably have to watch Batman vs. Superman.
What?
Technically it's a Batman film.
Can we just skip to the Batman?
Oh, we'll get there too. But well, it's only one movie. I mean, Justice League is that. Yeah, I mean, it's it is what it is.
Yeah. Anyway.
Maybe we'll take on the Superman films next. Who knows? We'll see. We'll figure it out. Or maybe there's some series you want us to look at, guys.
Yeah.
Even if it's not a full trilogy, whatever, you want us to look at X-Men or something like that, that could be interesting. So cool, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video, or look back at the Burton / Schumacher Batmans.
Yeah.
And
I do. I feel it's kind of unfair to these films to leave it on such a note, because I feel like that is unfair to the work of the previous 3 films.
Of course. Yeah.
So I just want to leave it on the note of 1989 Batman, Batman Returns, and Batman Forever are all definitely worth checking out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're fun.
And whatever the faults are with Batman and Robin, as a viewing experience, I don't feel it's reflective of the talents of the people who worked on it.
I'm going to ask you a quick question.
Sure.
Batman and Robin or Birds of Prey, which is worse? It's a tough call for you, huh?
It's a tough call for me.
She really hated Birds of Prey.
I really hated it.
We have a video on here from years ago.
Yeah, you should check it out.
I disliked it. Anna hated it. So.
I hated that movie.
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Yeah.
Ugh. Ugh.
I know, right?
That sucks. You know what? Did you ask me which is worse?
Yeah.
I think it actually is Batman and Robin.
Yeah, it's more. I mean, it is more. It's more fun to watch in terms of laughing at it.
At least Birds of Prey had a very cute animated opening sequence that led to the creation of the Harley Quinn animated series. So there's that.
Right. That's true.
Anyway, so this is very long.
That's fine.
My nose itches. I'm sorry. But yes, definitely can recommend 1989 Batman, Batman Returns, and Batman Forever. And thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, guys. Have a good night.
Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Woo!